Supergirl is very super done, and that's no fun for DC or James Gunn. Theaters are rushing to purge the superhero flick from their cinemas, get it off the screens. How many will it lose? And how bad does this go as the Odyssey comes in to claim its time on the silver screen? Well, we've got answers, and let's just say Supergirl is toast. Folks, we want to welcome back each and every one of you, and if you're new to the channel, it's a joy, it's a pleasure as ever to endeavor explaining entertainment. Keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we do. Tomorrow's headlines written right here as the drive-by journalists check out what's really going on. Click that like button, and let's dive on into Supergirl as she sunsets her career on the silver screen. Supergirl is super done. Supergirl is super toast, as most theaters are ready to drop her. That Park Place reporting this from Marvin Montanaro. Over 1,000 theaters drop Supergirl as James Gunn's DC disaster continues to crash out. Now, why are they dropping her? Well, this is what's interesting, folks. The obvious answer is not the correct answer, because the obvious answer would be, oh, well, they're dropping Supergirl because they got to make way for the Odyssey. But that's not right. And the reason it's not right is because the Odyssey is primarily going to be an IMAX and PLF adventure this weekend. Supergirl was already being shown in custodian closets. What this means is they're trying to just, as fast as they can, rush this sucker out of every cinema across North America. Skipping down to the second paragraph, it says the latest setback comes as the film's domestic earnings continue to collapse, adding further fuel to concerns that James Gunn's rebooted DC universe has stumbled out of the gate in spectacular fashion. And after opening far below already muted expectations, Supergirl has struggled to maintain any momentum. Now, with exhibitors rapidly replacing the film with stronger performers, its theatrical run appears to be entering its final stages far sooner than anyone at Warner Brothers likely hoped. Here's what we've got. Following its second weekend, Supergirl lost over 1,000 theaters across North America, falling from 3,600 to 2,500 heading into its third weekend. However, folks, we believe it's going to drop even more. And why is that? Why is Supergirl being kicked out of every single screen that owners can find? Because of this. Look at this terrible, awful box office. This is by far the worst DC film in terms of tickets sold. It makes Catwoman look good. 116 million is what it's made so far at the worldwide box office as of the recording. And if we go to our domestic chart, you can see that this thing is barely climbing. In fact, here's how long it took it to go from 60 million to 70 million. Never. It still hasn't. Take a look, though. It entered on the 7th of July. It finally crossed the 60 million mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days later, 1 week, as scientists have declared, it still has yet to reach $10 million. An entire week, it could not make $10 million. We are still watching to see when it will cross 70. Now, I believe that 125 is a difficult task for Supergirl worldwide. All right, let's go to Lou first on this. Lou, they're kicking it out. They're bouncing it out. And I got to say, I think they're going to give this to anything else they can find, whether it's Minions, Toy Story, even Moana. They don't care at this point. Just get this crap off the screens.
Yeah, well, you know, they're in the business of this strange arcane custom called selling tickets. And when you're not selling any, that means you're not selling popcorn to empty seats either. And one thing leads to another, and you do that over, what, 2,000 to 1,000 theaters. What was that great line? Oh, I know. It was wonderful Illinois Republican senator in the 60s, Everett Dirksen. He was talking about the federal budget, but what he said was $1 billion here and $1 billion there, and before you know it, you're talking about real money. Well, this is not getting close to real money, and it isn't likely to.
That's right. Lauren, the image we're seeing right now in the article is of a bug that defecates, and people eat what comes out of the bohiney of the bug, the bohiney bug. And Supergirl seems to imbibe as well. She also pukes. She also pees on screen. This film had a 77% second weekend drop, and we may see an even bigger drop now because, well, turns out you drop a lot when you're not on any of the cinemas.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I think that when you're not on the screens, it makes it really difficult for people to watch your movie. But I mean, this was entirely predictable. You know, we kind of warned what was going to happen if they deliberately made a defensive movie. They deliberately made a defensive movie and told half the audience they didn't want us to come see it. So we obliged. Honestly, I don't think anybody has room to complain here.
Right.
And yet, I saw a kind of pixie dusterish article. Hey, she's not dead. They're doing an audio version of the Woman of Tomorrow comics. Not with her, of course, but it's like, yeah, well, Supergirl's still out there, honest. Really, gee whiz.
Nobody saw it. Nobody knows what's in it, you know, but hey, it's still there. Not going to be for much longer. Folks, take a look at this. This is the daily box office performance, and I just want you to see. You see this number 19 down here? That's the latest we have. 19 days. So I suppose it'll get one more in the books, 20 days. And then after that 20 days, that's when you're going to see this number here, 2,500 plummet. And when that plummets, we are essentially at the end of the run. Supergirl will have been out there for 1 day shy of 3 weeks before it is shuffled out. But it's actually worse than this, because internationally, folks, I want to show you something here, okay? United Kingdom is, they gave it 6.5 million. There's nothing that's helping Supergirl. But China pulled this movie after 3 days.
Yeah.
And in those 3 days, in all of China, with 1 billion people, 3 times the population in the United States, China gave Supergirl $1 million. And all the theaters in China pulled it after 3 days. That's bad.
Actually, I'm not sure it's all the theaters. I understand they're showing it intentionally over and over again in the labor camps as a punishment. So,
who knows? Maybe keep Supergirl away from Wuhan.
The biggest number on that chart always to me is that per theater number. And when you see something making $200 in a theater, I mean, how many seats is that? And, oh, God, even if it is, like you said, the linen closet theater or the janitor's closet, look at there, 201 on the 13th. What day of the, I'm curious now. Let's see, 13th was this past Monday. $201 per theater.
Right.
Oh, God.
Which is to say, you're wasting your money. I mean, you can't pay for the light bulbs and the little staff to go in there and clean the floor and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's no point. Well, think about it this way. How much do we believe it costs to run air conditioning in one of those theaters?
Yeah, exactly. Especially this time of year. Absolutely.
A lot of money. $200 is not paying the bills. Theaters are losing money. That's why they got to run this out of there. And they don't care. Moana works.
Forget the electricity to run the air conditioning. How about to run the projector?
Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't even pay the projector light, we got a problem right here in River City.
Right. Well, look at this. So on the weekends, okay, entire weekends, $10,000 for an entire weekend if you put Supergirl on in a theater. I'm sorry, $10,000 is not sufficient for an entire weekend to devote all those screens. And it collapsed after that. I mean, it just completely collapsed. In fact, folks, I would say that Supergirl only for 1 day ever made theaters money. On the 26th, that was the only day it made more than $5,000. Typically, you need to, well, the 27th, it might have broken even, but typically you need, about $3,000 per theater. They had this on in 3,600, screens. That is a ton of screens, and they paid dearly for that. I don't think they're going to fall for it again. Ron, I think that after Man of Tomorrow, unless James Gunn is gone, cinemas are going to say, we're not signing contracts where we're obliged to put this in, the huge rollout. You've lost that. We're not going to do that anymore.
I'm just thinking right now, the momentous buildup to Clayface.
Oh,
Apparently is something that's going to come out. I don't know. It's funny because I was looking at my local theater and trying to see if it's still showing there. And this is really funny. Tomorrow, Supergirl has a single time slot at 11:30 a.m.
Oh,
That's it. That's the only time it's running.
Which is about when the people recovering from last night's booze binge are getting up and looking for someplace dark to hide for 2 hours.
Yes, I mean, I look from the moment I saw the first trailer, I had zero interest in this, and it's really funny because the Helen Slater movie from the 1980s, that Supergirl, it's not really that great of a movie, and it doesn't particularly hold up today. But if you compare it to this, it's like a blockbuster. If Helen Slater's performance itself is actually very good. So, nothing against her, but it's just, when you think of the character of Supergirl, regardless of the comics, and I've said this so many times, and people always want to argue, but it's in the comics, and they're translating from the comics. I'm like, not everything from the comics that's made for a comic book audience works for general audiences, period.
And I'll tell you something else about that movie, Ron. It was a lousy movie. She was lovely. It was a lousy movie. But you know what? A lot of people who could care less about Supergirl or comics probably went because they were Faye Dunaway fans.
Yeah.
You don't even have a real viable, I can sell tickets with my name star in this thing. Not even close.
I mean, it's probably why they threw Jason Momoa in as Lobo, but I don't really, that's not a general audience attracting character regardless. I mean, it just isn't. And the fact of the matter is that nobody asked for this Supergirl movie. And frankly, I think the worst mistake was putting her in, was it the after credit scene in Superman? I mean, the moment she came on screen and the whole thing, her whole deal was, oh, she likes to go to red sun planets so she can get sloshed. I'm like,
she was sloshed on Earth.
Which by the way is weird. How would
none
that
of it makes
happen?
sense?
I mean,
none of it makes
How does
any
she
sense.
get off the red sun planet, by the way, if she has no powers?
In the movie, she got a little spaceship. She got a space RV.
Yeah, right.
Space RV. No, really, space RV. Well, she's going to get a space RV right on out of the theaters, folks. If it drops another 1,000 screens, that's half of what it still has, and it doesn't have much. So Supergirl is likely to end short of definitely 150, probably 125. And this could be the thing that makes the entire DC universe dive off a cliff and have everybody at Warner Brothers, Paramount, Skydance saying, that's enough. James Gunn, you're done. You gotta go. Parting is such sweet sorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's only made sweet because there's more content on the way. We never stop. It drives the Holly Weirds mad, but we've got decades left in the can, and we keep going and going and going. Oh, wait. Are we showing our cards? That's right. We'll never stop going near and far and sending out the content you love. Folks, you can help us continue to do just that. Smash that like button, drop a comment down below, let us know your thoughts. And until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.